It was a bright morning. The sun was shining, and the streets were full of noise. Expensive cars passed by, and people walked with busy faces. In the middle of all this, one woman slowly walked along the footpath. Her sari was old and faded. Her slippers made a soft sound with every step. Her face was tired, her eyes quiet, but deep. She looked like someone who had seen many hard days. She stopped in front of a big glass showroom. It was a luxury car showroom, full of shiny, new cars. Inside, rich people talked and laughed. The floor was clean like a mirror. The walls were bright. Big posters showed men in suits standing beside expensive cars. The woman looked at the door. For a moment, she didn't move. Then she took a deep breath and stepped inside. The cool air of the showroom touched her face. 5 salesmen stood near the reception. They turned their heads when they saw her. One of them whispered something. The others laughed quietly. She walked slowly toward them. "Good morning, Beta," she said softly. "I want to see a car for my son." The salesman looked at her from head to toe. One of them, named Rajiv, crossed his arms and gave a fake smile. "Ma'am," he said, trying not to laugh, "are you sure you're in the right place?" The others chuckled. One of them said under his breath, "Maybe she wants a toy car." The woman didn't react. She calmly replied, "My son's birthday is next week. I want to give him a good car." Rajiv looked at her worn-out clothes and dusty slippers. "These cars are not cheap, Auntie. This isn't a second-hand shop." "I didn't ask for price," she said, still calm. "Just show me the cars." Another salesman leaned on the desk and said, "Why don't you check online first? We don't do free window shopping here." This time, the woman looked down. Her eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them. "It's okay," she said softly. "I understand." She turned to leave. As she walked away, one of the salesmen whispered loudly, "Did someone forget to lock the temple gate? These beggars keep coming in." Everyone laughed. Rajiv laughed the loudest. But the woman didn't look back. She kept walking. At the door, she stopped for a moment and said in a calm voice, "I will come back tomorrow. You will remember this day." The door closed behind her. The salesman kept laughing. One said, "Maybe she'll come back with a plastic car from the market." Rajiv said, "If she brings 10 rupees tomorrow, I'll show her the keychain." They laughed again, but none of them knew what was coming. Outside, the woman stood near the road. She looked at the sky and took a deep breath. Her eyes were no longer sad. They were strong. She whispered to herself, "My son gave me everything. Today, I'll do something for him." The sound of horns and engines filled the air, but her mind was somewhere else. She pulled out her small phone and dialed a number. "Beta," she said when the call connected. "I'm fine. I'll see you in the morning." She ended the call, took one last look at the showroom, and walked away. The next morning, everything changed. A loud sound echoed outside the showroom. "Vroom." A black Rolls-Royce stopped right in front of the same glass doors. Everyone turned to look. People outside stopped walking. Even inside the showroom, the staff ran to the windows. From the back seat, a tall young man stepped out. He wore a black suit. His watch shined in the sun. His face was calm, but serious. He walked to the door slowly. The automatic doors opened. The same salesman stood near the reception. Their smiles disappeared. The young man looked around the showroom. Then he said in a clear voice, "I want to speak to the manager." The air inside the showroom felt different that morning. The staff stood still. Their usual smiles were gone. No one joked. No one laughed. All eyes were on the tall young man who had just walked in. He wore a black suit, shiny shoes, and a watch that looked more expensive than any car in the room. His face was serious. His walk was full of power. The manager came out from his office, smiling. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to our showroom. How can I help you?" The young man didn't smile back. He looked at the staff behind the counter. His eyes stopped at Rajiv, the salesman who had laughed the most yesterday. "I want to speak with the person who was in charge here yesterday morning," the man said calmly. Rajiv stepped forward nervously. "Yes, sir, I was here." The young man pulled out his phone. He opened a photo and held it up. It was a picture of the old woman who had come yesterday. This woman, he said slowly. Did she come here? Rajiv looked at the photo. His face changed. His hands became cold, but he tried to smile. No, sir. I don't remember seeing her. Maybe she went to some other showroom. The other staff nodded quickly. No, sir. We didn't see her here. The young man looked at them all for a moment. Then he smiled. A cold, sharp smile. I see. He put the phone away and pressed a button on his watch. Suddenly, a large screen near the entrance lit up. The screen showed CCTV footage from the showroom, from yesterday. There she was, the old woman, walking in, talking to Rajiv, asking politely, and the staff laughing. Everyone went quiet. The truth was in front of their eyes. The manager's face turned red with shame. I'm sorry, sir. I had no idea this happened. But the young man raised his hand to stop him. Don't say sorry to me. Say it to her. He turned to Rajiv. You said she didn't come. So you lied? That was your first mistake. Rajiv tried to speak, but no words came out. Do you know who she is? The man asked. No one answered. She is my mother. The whole showroom went silent. The staff looked down. No one could meet his eyes. She wore simple clothes because she never cared about money, the man said. She walked in here with love in her heart, wanting to buy a gift for her son. And you mocked her. The young man looked around the showroom. You all judged her because of her clothes. You laughed at her because she looked poor. You didn't even speak to her with respect. He paused and looked at the manager. Is this how you treat people here? The manager shook his head quickly. No, sir. This will never happen again, I promise. The young man ignored him. He looked at Rajiv and the others. Do you know who I am? Rajiv whispered, a customer, sir. The man chuckled. Not just a customer. I'm the owner of Mera Tech Group. We own 5 companies in this city. And now we will own this showroom too. Everyone gasped. The manager looked shocked. You're Mr. Arjun Mera? Yes, Arjun said. And this place, starting tomorrow, will be under my name. He turned around and walked toward the door. But before that, he added, I have one small request. He pulled out his phone again and made a call. Mom, he said gently, please come inside. It's your turn now. The staff stared at the door. Outside, the same old woman walked in, the same sari, the same slippers. But this time, no one laughed. No one dared to speak. Her son stood beside her. Arjun looked at the staff and said, now show my mother the best car you have, and treat her like you would treat a queen. The showroom was silent. The old woman stood beside her son. She looked calm, but there was pain in her eyes. She glanced at the staff who had laughed at her just one day ago. No one said a word. The manager walked forward quickly. Ma'am, welcome. Please, let me show you our best cars. But Arjun raised his hand. No. The same staff who mocked her yesterday will serve her today. Rajiv looked down, his face pale. Arjun looked straight at him. Yesterday, you didn't even offer her a seat. Today, you will walk beside her and open the doors for her. The staff hesitated, but the manager gave them a sharp look. Do what he says. Rajiv opened his mouth to speak but stopped. He forced a smile and said, Ma'am, this way please. The woman gave a small nod and followed him. One by one, they showed her every luxury car, shining black, sparkling white, golden bronze. Cars worth crores. She looked at them quietly. Sometimes, she asked simple questions. Is this comfortable? Does this have enough space? Will this suit my son? Rajiv answered carefully, his voice soft now, not proud like before. But inside, he was shaking. He still could not believe that the woman he had insulted was the mother of a billionaire. Other customers in the showroom had started watching. Some even recognized Arjun Mera. Whispers filled the air. Isn't that Arjun Mera? Yes, the tech company owner. He came here for his mother? After some time, Arjun walked to his mother. Ma, are you happy with any of the cars? The woman gave a small smile. They are beautiful. But I didn't come here for beauty. I came to see how people treat others. She looked at Rajiv and said, You looked at my slippers, not at my words. You listen to my clothes, not to my voice. Rajiv had no answer. She turned to her son. Let's go, Beta. I don't want a car anymore. But Arjun stopped her gently. Not yet, May. He turned to the manager and said, call all the staff. I have something to say. The manager quickly gathered everyone. Salesmen, guards, helpers. All stood in one line. Arjun took a deep breath. Do you know what real richness is? No one answered. He continued, it's not in your clothes. It's not in the car you drive. It's in your heart, in how you treat others. He looked at each face one by one. You all laughed at a woman who could buy every car in this place. But what if she couldn't? Would that give you the right to insult her? The room stayed silent. My mother walked into your showroom with respect. She left with tears. That pain. I felt it in my heart. The old woman touched her son's arm. It's okay, Arjun. But Arjun shook his head. No, May. They need to learn. This world needs to learn. He pointed at the biggest car in the showroom, a red luxury SUV. We'll take that one, he said. The manager smiled quickly. Yes, sir. Right away. But Arjun raised his hand again. Not so fast. He looked at the staff. You mocked my mother. Now each one of you will serve her. You will clean the car, polish it, and deliver it with respect. Only then will I buy it. The staff nodded quickly, afraid to lose their jobs. Then Arjun added, and I'm not stopping at one car. Everyone looked confused. I'll place a big order tomorrow, he said. But only if my mother says this place is ready for people like her. The old woman smiled again, this time with a little pride in her eyes. Then I'll wait and watch, she said softly. The next day, the showroom was cleaner than ever. Every glass surface sparkled. The floor looked like water. The red luxury car stood in the center, shining under the lights. The staff wore fresh clothes. Their shoes were polished, but their hearts were nervous. They didn't know what would happen next. Then the door opened. The same woman walked in, wearing the same simple sari, the same old slippers. But this time, everything was different. The manager stood up quickly. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome back. All the staff stood in a line. No one dared to smile or joke. Arjun Mehra walked beside his mother, proud and calm. His hand gently held hers as they walked through the showroom. The same people who had laughed at her yesterday were now opening doors for her, offering her water, pulling chairs, and speaking politely. Please sit, ma'am, said Rajiv. The same man who had mocked her. His voice was quiet. His eyes were full of guilt. She sat down slowly and looked around. One of the junior staff members came forward and said, We're sorry for how we treated you. We didn't know who you were. The old woman looked at him gently and said, You still don't. Everyone looked confused. She continued, I am not special because of my son. I am not rich because he is rich. I am special because I carry love and respect in my heart, not money in my pocket. Everyone went quiet. Arjun smiled. Ma is right. You shouldn't respect someone just because they are rich. You should respect everyone, especially those who have nothing. The manager nodded. We understand, sir. Arjun walked toward the red SUV, the most expensive car in the showroom. He opened the door and looked at his mother. Ma, please sit. This one is for you. She walked to the car slowly. The staff quickly opened the other door for her. She sat inside the car and touched the steering wheel with care. Her eyes became wet. Her voice shook. Your father once said he would buy me a car like this. We couldn't afford it then. And now? Her voice stopped. Arjun sat beside her. He held her hand. You gave me everything, May. This is nothing compared to your love. They sat in silence for a few moments. Then, the mother turned to the manager. This car is nice, but I don't want just one. Everyone looked surprised. You don't want just one? Rajiv asked carefully. She shook her head. I want to buy more, not for myself, but for others. Arjun smiled. He knew what she meant. She looked around the showroom. Buy one car for a widow who raised her children alone. One for a housemaid who walks miles to work. One for the school teacher who comes on a cycle every day. The manager couldn't believe it. You want to gift cars to poor women? Arjun nodded. Yes, and you will help us. The staff looked at each other. Their eyes were wide, their mouths open. But, sir, why? One of them asked. Because the world didn't respect them, Arjun replied. Just like you didn't respect my mother. It's time to change that. The old woman smiled. You laughed at me yesterday. But today we are laughing, not at you, but at the way life teaches lessons. Rajiv's eyes were full of tears now. He stepped forward. I'm sorry, ma'am. Truly, what I did was wrong. I will never forget this day. She looked at him and said, Good. If this moment changes your heart, then it was worth it. The sun was high in the sky. The city outside was busy as always, but inside the showroom, time felt like it had stopped. Everyone stood frozen. The old woman had just said she wanted to gift cars, not to herself, but to poor and hardworking women. No one had ever heard something like this before. The manager stepped forward. Ma'am, do you really mean it? She nodded softly. Yes, I mean every word. Arjun looked at the staff. Prepare papers for 12 new cars, 6 SUVs, 6 small cars. I want all of them delivered this month. The entire room gasped. 12. One staff member whispered. That's over 3 crore rupees, someone else murmured. But Arjun stayed calm. She gave me life. Now, I want her to give hope to others. The manager wiped sweat from his forehead. Yes, sir. We'll do everything fast. Just one thing. He hesitated. Arjun turned to him. What is it? May I ask? Who are these women? Where do we find them? Before Arjun could answer, his mother spoke gently. They are everywhere. You see them every day. But you don't notice them. She paused and looked at Rajiv. Yesterday, on your way to work, you passed by a woman selling flowers at the signal. Did you even look at her? Rajiv lowered his head. No, ma'am. She feeds her children with that little money. She walks for miles to save bus fare. She's not asking for help, but she deserves respect. Then she turned to another staff member. And you, the girl who cleans the showroom every morning before you arrive, have you ever said thank you to her? The staff member looked down. The woman smiled sadly. You don't need to go far. Just open your eyes. Real strength wears simple clothes. Real beauty lives in silence. Everyone was quiet now, deeply touched. Arjun walked to the center of the showroom. He looked around and spoke clearly. I want this place to change. From today, this will not just be a car showroom. It will be a place of respect and honor. No one will be judged here by their clothes, accent, or background. He pointed to a wall near the entrance. From tomorrow, I want a photo of my mother on that wall. And a line under it. Respect begins here. The manager quickly nodded. Yes, sir. We'll do it first thing in the morning. Just then, a guard came running. Sir, there are news vans outside. Reporters want to talk to you. Arjun looked at his mother. She nodded. Outside, cameras flashed. Reporters pushed microphones forward. Mr. Mehra, is it true your mother was insulted here yesterday? Why are you buying so many cars? Arjun raised his hand and said calmly, Yesterday, a mistake happened here. My mother was treated poorly because of her simple clothes. Today, we are not here for revenge. We are here for change. The reporters stayed quiet, listening. She taught me that true success is not in being rich, but in lifting others. So today, we are buying 12 cars, and each one will go to a woman who never stopped fighting for her family, no matter how hard life was. One reporter asked, What message do you want to give the public? Arjun looked straight into the camera. Next time you see someone in old clothes, don't judge them. Their story may be greater than yours. He held his mother's hand. And never forget, behind every successful man is a mother who gave up her world so her child could fly. His mother's eyes filled with tears, but her face shined with peace. The next few days were full of work. The car showroom, once cold and proud, had changed. Now, it felt like a place of hope. Staff members, who once looked only at expensive suits and shoes, were now busy preparing something far greater, a gift of respect. 12 cars, 12 lives, 12 stories. Each car was for a woman who had been forgotten by society, ignored or laughed at, but not anymore. Arjun's mother had created a list. She didn't choose them based on money or power. She chose them based on heart and struggle. The first woman. She was a flower seller at a traffic light. Her name was Kalma. Every day she stood in the sun, selling roses for 5 rupees, smiling at strangers who never looked back. When Arjun's car stopped near her, and he stepped out with a bouquet of red roses, she was confused. "These are yours," he said. She laughed nervously. "I don't have money, Sahib." "You don't need money," he replied. "You need keys." He held out a set of car keys. Tears filled Kalma's eyes. "Why me?" "Because my mother saw you." And she said, "That woman has courage in her eyes." The second woman. She was a nurse named Fatima, working night shifts for 10 years. She never bought new clothes. Every rupee went to her son's school. Arjun found her leaving the hospital, tired and quiet. "Ma'am," he said gently, "do you believe in miracles?" She smiled weakly. "No, sir. I only believe in hard work." "Good," Arjun said, "because your hard work just earned you this." He pointed to a small white car waiting nearby, decorated with flowers. Fatima covered her mouth in shock. "But I'm just a nurse." "And that," Arjun said, "is exactly why you deserve more." The others. Sunita, the widow who worked in a school canteen. Aarti, the maid who walked 5 kilometers daily to clean 5 houses. Meena, a rickshaw driver raising 3 daughters alone. Bano, the schoolteacher in a slum who taught under a tree. One by one, these women received cars, not just vehicles, but symbols of respect and dignity. The staff from the showroom personally delivered the keys. They bowed. They smiled. Some even cried. They were no longer just car salesmen. They had become part of something bigger. Back at the showroom, Arjun's mother sat in a chair, watching photos of each woman receiving her car. She smiled. This is what I wanted." Arjun sat beside her. "Ma, you gave more than gifts. You gave voices to silent women." She looked at her son with pride. "You gave them speed, beta. I just showed you where to look." That evening, a small event was held in the showroom. The 12 women were invited. They wore simple clothes, but they walked like queens. Cameras clicked. Reporters asked questions. People cried. Some clapped. But one moment stood out. Arjun's mother stood before the crowd and said, "I came here once and left with pain. I came again and gave hope. But now, I'm not going anywhere. I will stay and keep watching. Because change is not a one-day thing. It is a seed, and we must water it every day." Everyone stood and clapped. Even Rajiv, who once laughed at her, wiped his eyes. He now looked at her with respect. Not fake, but real. 1 week had passed. 12 women now drove through the city, proud, free, and respected. Their lives had changed. But something else had changed too. Something inside the car showroom itself. Where once laughter mocked the poor, now kindness welcomed everyone. People started coming not just to buy cars, but to hear the story. The story of a mother, in old clothes, who taught an entire business the meaning of respect. Reporters called it the miracle of the showroom. Social media posts went viral. Arjun's company received praise from around the world, but Arjun stayed calm and quiet. One morning, Arjun called a press meeting. The showroom was full of staff, news cameras, and the 12 women who had received the cars. But Arjun didn't stand in the center this time. He stood beside his mother. "My mother changed this place," he began. "With her pain, she created purpose. With her silence, she taught a lesson." He pointed to the wall behind him. It now had a large photo of his mother, smiling softly, and underneath it were the words, "Respect begins here. The Ama Auto Gallery." The crowd clapped. Some wiped tears. "Yes," Arjun continued. "From today, this showroom will no longer carry the old name. It will now be called Ama Auto Gallery, named after the woman who changed everything." His mother gasped softly. "Beta, this is too much." "No, Mai," he said, holding her hand. "You gave me my name. Now I give you yours." The staff stood and clapped loudly. Even Rajiv walked up, folded his hands and said, "Ma'am." You didn't just change our minds. You opened our hearts. She smiled at him. Just promise me one thing. Never forget how it felt to be ignored, and never let anyone else feel that. I promise, Rajiv said, his voice shaking. Weeks later, the Alma Auto Gallery had a new corner, a small help desk for women in need. Women who needed financial help, job referrals, or simply someone to listen. It was called the Alma Support Corner. Every Saturday, Arjun's mother sat there. She wore the same type of simple sari and slippers. But now, people lined up just to talk to her, seek her advice, or say thank you. One woman hugged her and whispered, "You gave me courage." Another said, "You gave me dignity." She would simply smile and reply, "I didn't give anything. I just saw what others ignored." Final scene. One day, a small girl came to the showroom with her mother. She looked around with wide eyes and said, "Mummy, is this the place where Alma gave cars to poor women?" The mother nodded, smiling. The girl ran to the wall where Alma's photo hung. She looked up and whispered, "One day, I'll grow up and be just like her." And just like that, the story began again.